They say a budget that survives a cash crunch is the single biggest predictor of startup survival. Hey founders, I'm Alex. I've been in the startup world for over a decade, and early in my career, I had to watch a really promising company, one with a fantastic product and a brilliant team, completely fold. Why? It wasn't because their idea was bad. It was because the founders didn't have a real, zero-based budget. They were essentially flying blind with their finances, and when a small cash crunch hit, it turned into a catastrophic failure. It was a painful lesson, but it forced me to get serious about financial discipline. I went back to the drawing board and built a bulletproof budgeting framework from the ground up. It's not about being cheap, it's about being smart and strategic. This exact framework is what allowed my own companies to stay afloat and even grow for a full 24 months without a single dollar of external funding. We weathered market shifts and unexpected expenses because we had a plan. Today, I am going to walk you through the 3 core components of this system so you can implement it in your own startup. This isn't just theory. This is a practical, battle-tested guide to building a financially resilient company. So, let's dive in. The first, and most foundational, component is what I call the zero-based revenue first blueprint. The name sounds a bit complex, but the concept is beautifully simple. It all starts with your forecasted monthly revenue. And I have to be really clear here, be conservative. Overly optimistic revenue forecasts are the #1 killer of well-intentioned budgets. Take your most realistic, even slightly pessimistic, sales number for the upcoming month. That number becomes your entire world. Now, you're going to allocate 100% of that forecasted revenue into 4 key categories. Not 99%, not 101%, exactly 100%. Those categories are fixed costs, variable costs, growth, and reserve. Your fixed costs are the predictable, recurring expenses like rent for your office, your core team salaries, and essential software subscriptions that don't change month to month. Your variable costs are expenses that fluctuate with your business activity, like marketing spend, freelance contractors, or raw materials. The growth category is your investment fund for the future. This could be for research and development, hiring a new key person, or launching a major marketing campaign. Finally, and this is crucial, the reserve. Here's the magic of the zero-based system. Any unallocated dollars from that initial revenue forecast are automatically swept into your reserve category. This means you can never, ever overspend your budget. If you only allocate 90% of your revenue to the first 3 categories, the remaining 10% automatically becomes your safety net. This simple rule forces you to make conscious decisions about every single dollar, creating a culture of financial accountability from day one. It removes the temptation to spend extra money that doesn't actually exist. The second core component of this framework is establishing variable cost caps and what I call spend gate rules. This is where you get granular control over the most unpredictable part of your budget. Variable costs can easily spiral out of control if you don't have guardrails. Think about ad spend, paying freelancers for projects, or signing up for new SaaS tools that seem like a good idea at the time. First, you need to identify every single variable expense in your business. Go through your past bank statements and list them out. Once you have that list, you set a maximum percentage cap for the entire category. For example, you might decide that total variable costs can never exceed 25% of your monthly revenue. This is a hard and fast rule. If your revenue for the month is $10,000, your total variable spend cannot go over to $1,500. Period. This prevents what I call cost creep, where small, seemingly insignificant expenses add up and slowly drain your cash reserves. Now, for the spend gate, this is a simple but incredibly effective system for justifying new expenses. Before anyone on the team can incur a new variable expense, let's say they want to hire a new freelancer or launch a new ad campaign, they must submit a brief raw justification. This doesn't have to be a 10-page report. It can be a simple form in a shared Google Sheet with 3 questions. What is the expected cost? What is the expected return on investment? And by when can we expect to see that return? This submission is then reviewed by the key stakeholders on the team. This process does 2 things. It forces everyone to think critically about spending money, and it creates a transparent record of financial decisions. It's not about micromanaging, it's about collective ownership of the company's financial health. The third and final component is the rolling 30-day forecast and buffer. A budget isn't something you set once a year and forget about. A startup's environment is dynamic, and your financial plan needs to be just as agile. This is where a rolling forecast comes in. At the beginning of every single month, you or your finance lead must update a 30-day cash flow model. You can do this in a simple Google Sheet or use a tool like LivePlan. You'll plug in your actual starting cash, your updated revenue forecast for the next 30 days, and all your budgeted expenses based on the zero-based blueprint we discussed. This gives you a real-time snapshot of your financial trajectory. But here's the most important part of this component, the buffer. Within your cash flow model, you must add a buffer line item. This isn't just a number you pull out of thin air. This buffer should be equal to 2 times your average monthly burn rate. For instance, if your company typically spends $15,000 more than it brings in each month, your buffer needs to be $30,000. This is your runway cushion, your emergency fund. It's the money that keeps the lights on if a major client pays late or an unexpected expense pops up. You then monitor this buffer religiously. If your projected cash at the end of the 30-day period dips below that buffer threshold, it triggers an automatic budget review. This is a non-negotiable meeting. The team gets together, looks at the numbers, and immediately starts cutting all non-essential, discretionary spending until the forecast shows that you're back above your buffer line. This proactive approach means you're never caught by surprise. You see the problem coming 30 days out, giving you plenty of time to react calmly and strategically, instead of panicking when the bank account is already empty. So, let's recap the 3 pillars of a bulletproof startup budget. First, the zero-based revenue first blueprint, where you allocate 100% of your conservative revenue forecast, ensuring every dollar has a job and nothing is wasted. Second, the variable cost caps and spend gate rules, which put firm guardrails on your most volatile expenses and enforce a culture of ROI-driven spending. And third, the rolling 30-day forecast and buffer, which gives you a real-time, forward-looking view of your cash flow and an early warning system to prevent financial disaster. Implementing these 3 components will transform how you manage your startup's finances. It moves you from a reactive, often fearful, state to a proactive, confident position. You'll know your exact runway, you'll make smarter spending decisions, and you'll build a company that is resilient enough to withstand the inevitable challenges of the startup journey. This isn't about restricting growth, it's about enabling sustainable growth. It's the foundation that allows you to take calculated risks because you know your core is financially secure. If you're ready to bulletproof your startup finances and build a company that lasts, I hope you found this breakdown valuable. I'll be sharing more actionable strategies like this every single week. If you're ready to bulletproof your startup finances, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to turn on the bell for weekly growth tactics. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.